Coros helps road and track athletes with the training tools that they need to reach their performance goals. Their range of GPS wearables and devices combines advanced technology with sports science, enabling athletes to track everything and achieve anything. Enjoy this episode.
All right, here we are, take two. We've got a bit of a treat for you, listeners, this weekend. We're here with Jess Hull, our golden girl of the track at the moment, Olympic silver medalist, fresh off a bronze medal at the World Champs. Welcome, Jess.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for the nice introduction.
Oh, yeah, well, it's hard to know what to pick with you, to be honest. Like, I could have gone with an Australian record holder in 800 metres. You came away from Tokyo with a few little, like a bag of new accolades.
Yeah, the 800-meter Australian record would be a strange one to hear. I think that still hasn't quite sunk in.
Yeah, I watched it again last night just to refresh. And if someone had missed watching the race and asked me to describe they said, "Oh, how did Jess go?" I said, "Well, she was dead last by a mile at the 200 mark, and then she was dead last at the 400 by a fair way, and she nearly caught someone, but she actually didn't, so she finished dead last."
Yeah.
They would have said, "Oh, poor Jess. She had a good champs anyway."
Yeah.
But then, no, she ran 1:57. She broke the Australian record. It's just a wild race, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was crazy. Like, I think it was a very quick introduction to World Championship 800-meter racing as I was learning through the rounds, but then to sort of be part of a final like that where it was just everyone showed up and everyone ran their best on that day, which was pretty incredible to have a final top to bottom go so fast. Especially if you looked at the 8 on the circuit this year, it hadn't really been like that. So for it all to come together in the World Champs final in Tokyo, it's pretty cool. And I think that's what World Athletics want when they put the World Champs at the end of the season is everyone fires on all cylinders in September.
Yeah. Went on the start line when the gun went. Did you just think, "Oh, what's going on here? Like, am I supposed to sprint now?"
Yeah, I mean, I knew I would be in last at 200, but I didn't expect to. I think I was about 27.5 for the 200, and I was so far back. And
Yeah,
I know for me, I can't go out any faster than that. I'll run my entire race in the first 200, but I don't think I anticipated what that looked like visually. I knew they would get out really, really hot, but to be that far back was like, whoa, this is, it looks way further than it is in terms of like tenths of a second.
yeah, I know. And if you didn't have a clock on it, it would look like it wouldn't make much sense. It would have looked like you've just kind of jogged out of
Yeah.
the blocks. But when I think they went through in 55, maybe, or
Yeah, they were flying. Yeah.
yeah, you kind of thought, "Oh, that you're actually you've run this pretty well." They just held on.
Yeah, they did, which is when you're racing the best in the world, there's every chance they do hold on. But I definitely did think like what kept me going that second lap was I saw the clock frozen on 55.5 and I was like, oh, they're coming back. Like there
Yeah,
will be some carnage going out that fast, but there wasn't. And I think that's just a true credit to the best 800-meter women in the world is on the circuit, you'll get 2 or 3 of them show up at one Diamond League, and there is carnage in these races. But when all 7 or 8 of them line up in a World Champs final, no one falls apart.
yeah. And I mean, I was interested in the back end of your preparation, knowing you were doing the 800, but obviously it being a secondary event. Did you change a lot training wise to sort of cater for that 800, or was it all pretty much 1500 training and then you just see how you go?
Yeah, we didn't change anything because I think I didn't anticipate really getting that 800-meter spot was probably the main thing as to why we didn't change anything was I knew that Sarah had run faster earlier on in the season in about April. So I had just assumed that was the way selection would swing until pretty much the weekend before the Diamond League final, we started to get news that maybe I would get picked in the 800. And we were like, okay, well, it doesn't change anything training wise. We've trained for the 15. The 15 was probably going to be a different style of race this year without a good of Segai or anyone else declared to go from the gun.
Mm.
So the 800 work we were doing in training was to complement a different style of 1500 than like a pure strength race. So we just thought, well, we're in good shape for both, and if it does come off that they pick us in the 8, it's a great bonus. And we knew my speed had really come on in the last 12 months, just from tapping into it, and I had been pretty confident there was a big 800 in there. I just couldn't put it together on the day. So a championship 800 really excited me because I was like, there'll be 8 women. I'm not trying to contend for traffic. It's a lane start. I'm going to be at the back and I can just move up through. So I kind of was really excited for the chance to run fast over 800, with just what the championships look like. But then to sort of just kind of grow into it as I was going was pretty exciting. And it sort of was just really fun. It was really fresh and really different to everything with the 1500. It's so routine and so business-like. To come back in a second event was just really enjoyable.
Yeah, yeah. Like so I would have thought you might have been more nervous because you were less prepared for the 800. Is that how you felt, or was it a free swing for you?
Yeah, I think a free swing. I think, especially after the way the 15 went and holding on to that medal, I think Dad was really strong on me just showing up and seeing what I could do in the 800 and not putting any pressure on it. And he didn't want me to get bogged down in the stats of anyone else or the way that other people race. He was like, just wait for your heat to draw out. We know how you have to run it to run your best 800. It doesn't really matter who you're competing against. He was like, just kind of go in there and run your best race, and the people that you compete against are who they are, but not being too calculated like I am in the 1500. I kind of know the ins and outs of every single woman I race in the 15, but the 8 was kind of like, well, it doesn't really matter what they do because I can't go out with them in that first lap. So I've just got to run my own race and really stay in my own lane, which is makes you feel a bit like a sprinter where they just sort of focus on themselves.
Yeah. So coming home, you've got a medal in one pocket, Australian record in the other. What are you prouder of?
Um, that's a good question. I think the bronze is like obviously it's a different color to my silver in Paris, but I do think it represents a lot of the last 12 months and a lot of growth. It's been a bit different, like running with pressure and expectation, and a lot of that is intrinsic. Like I have very high standards for myself, so I think just learning to navigate that this year and to try some different things, and I had a few shaky races, which is not really my own style, but just sort of by trying bigger things, you have to risk failing a little bit. So to then kind of tie it together with a bronze at the championship, it felt like it was a pretty good symbol for the year's work. And it's kind of just one of them things where until you have it, I don't think you realize like what it feels like. So the bronze, like to me, it's just like it's an extreme motivator right now. Like I feel way fresher and way better coming off this season than I felt coming off Paris. And I don't know if that's the result of a bronze and then kind of wanting to get back up higher on the podium, or if it's realizing that I worked that hard this year and I still got something to show for it when it wasn't perfect. I don't know, that bronze has really had a lot of significance for me. So I'm hoping it's going to launch into some more higher colors in the seasons to come.
Well, yeah, even just watching your journey though, like since Tokyo Olympics,
Mm,
which isn't that long ago when you consider all things considered, maybe 3 years.
yeah,
Like you made the final, or 4 years, sorry. You made the final of that event, but you were never really in the mix of things. Like
no.
you would sort of consider a few of those sort of world champ finals and Olympics back then as an also ran. Like you never
Mhm.
really pressed for the top spots. And now you've come so far that you are considered one of the favorites for the medal every time you step on the track. Back then, like when you step off the track at Tokyo 2021, did you ever think that you would be in the position you're at now when you show up to major championships?
I don't know if I thought I would be here. I wanted to be here. Like that was even just to look back on Tokyo, there was such an extreme from my semi final. I ran 3:58, broke 4 for the first time, got the Australian record. And that was like I was on such an extreme high. And then 48 hours, you're walking back through the same tunnel. And I was just like, that's it. Like, I come 11th. Like, that's kind of, I wasn't happy with it. I didn't know why I wasn't satisfied with it. I was like, if you told me at the start of the Olympic Games in 2021, I'd be a finalist, I would have been stoked. But to then sort of be part of a final and like be so far out of it and not really a factor in anything, let alone the medals, it kind of just sat with me and I wanted to build off it and I didn't want to feel like that again. So I remember sort of talking to dad. He wasn't my coach at that point, but he's my dad. So I remember sort of talking to him and being like, I really like, I just feel, I don't know what I feel about it. Like, I don't like this feeling. I don't feel happy with it. And I'm not mad about it either because it is a huge achievement to be an Olympic finalist. But it just was like sort of sprung me into sort of wanting to be more of a factor in those finals. And I mean, the world champs in 2022, I thought I was in great shape. I thought I was sort of ready to tag Laura Muir and Gudaf Sege and Faith for a really long time. And then I've got COVID somewhere along the way between the heats and the finals. So that kind of derailed that one. And I raced as hard as I could that night and I was a 7th place. But it kind of just was like, oh, still not where I want to be. So I think all of those results previously, like, they don't look super glamorous on paper, but they gave me, I wanted more. Like, I wanted to be better. I wanted to be a part of the races and a key part of the races, not just someone that's a passenger and gets pulled to a fast time. So it's kind of been really, really exciting to see me grow into that over the last few years. I think I've always put myself in races, even when the fitness didn't match up with those kind of opportunities. But now we've done the work where it's like the fitness is there, so I can kind of really have a go for it when I'm up there in these races.
Yeah, and look, you mentioned a few shaky races in the lead up to the world champs, and we're going to call him Uncle Croaks today. Uncle Croaks come on the podcast, and I wasn't on the show, so I got to listen to this and didn't get to respond to it. But he came out and he wasn't scathing, but said he was very disappointed in your tactical running over there was a few diamond leagues, I think there was, and we sort of gave him a bit of stick, saying, "Hey, you can't be disappointed in someone like this, as you have
Disappointed
no
is a
really
hard word.
investment in them." But we did have a discussion around whether you were trying new tactics, whether you were trying to find your limit of how hard you could push early. What was the strategy behind that?
Yeah, I think it's come from sort of, I got the silver last year in Paris, and it was like, I'm going up against the greatest of all time in these races. And it's, if you sit back and play it safe, like, what's the point? I You can look at my Tokyo final race and say maybe I could have raced that a bit safer, but like, to me, progress didn't look like being 50 meters behind Faith and playing it safe and being silver or bronze anyway. To me, success this year looked like, did I give myself a chance to run for the win? And that's a huge mental thing to step up to. I've never really been in front of Faith in a race, let alone anywhere near her in the last 100 meters. She's so good at kind of getting rid of us by the last straightaway that to sort of give myself that chance at the next step, it was like, I have to be a bit bolder in these races and I have to take some risks. And we did, and we would be a little more calculated in the years to come, I think. But I think this season just felt like a free swing to learn those things. And some of the way the races shaked out was a bit interesting too. Like the Diamond League final, I wanted to run fast there. Like, my fitness was great. My training block had been fantastic. And even I'd trained in St. Moritz leading into that for about the same amount of time as I had prior to Paris Diamond League last year when I ran the 350. And all the training suggested I was in way better shape than even that, which for me was like, well, this is my chance. Like, Worlds is, you're not really running for a time, you're running for a medal. So Zurich's the chance to run fast. And I think we've later learned some more information, but Deribe Wateji was originally in that race, which I sort of thought the two of us would work together to run very, very fast. And then suddenly she was out, which we now know later on there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
But I think circumstantially, I just ended up in a few positions this year where I was like trying to win the race, but I almost needed someone else there with me to really run fast or to really unlock that next level. And it just kind of never quite got that perfect ride like I got in Paris in 2024. I probably never get that again. Like, that's a career race, but I sort of backed myself in on a few of them in that like the training had gone so well, and that's where I get my confidence that I kind of had to go for it in some races and just sort of see what that looked like. And we learned a lot. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about where my weaknesses still are, and I think that's exciting because it's like there's 3 more years to LA, and I've got a lot to put together to sort of just maximize what I can do as an athlete. And that's kind of nice when you're 29 years old to know that there's still something to work on.
Yeah, yeah, that Diamond League final, you what was, was it like the amount of a house deposit that you saw slipping from your grip in the last like 10 meters?
I didn't even, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was just trying to stay on my feet. It was,
Yeah.
I've never felt that way in a race before. And it kind of, I remember coming down the back straight and being like, oh, I feel really strong right now. And then halfway around the bend, I was like, I don't know if I can finish. And then the whole last 80, 90 meters was just stay on your feet, stay on your feet. And I didn't know what was going on behind me, but I was like, it doesn't matter what's going on behind me. Like, I have nothing to respond here. I just have to get to the finish line. So yeah, the value that was slipping away wasn't really on my mind at that moment. I think too, like it just shows that winning is so hard at this level, and like I think we sort of see Faith or we see Jakob do it all the time, and you just think they're superstars, and they entirely are, but they win every time they show up, and that's a huge thing to do, especially when the rest of the world is getting better and better. It's just like it's no given just because you're the favorite in a race. Like actually executing it is really hard to do, and I still haven't mastered it. But the Diamond League final was an epic one to get the miss in.
Yeah, it's, I mean, it's a blessing and a curse to have that expectation of the public that you're just going to show up and perform. We have that of you now, whether you
Yeah.
like it or not. Like we see Jess Hull in a race and we think she's finished second in the Olympics. She should be in the top three in pretty much whatever race she enters from now on. That must, I mean, that would be difficult to deal with if you have an internal uh, expectation similar to that.
Oh yeah, I think that's sometimes the hardest part is just removing that expectation and remembering it's just a race, and that's what you do all the training for, and it's the time to kind of just go out and celebrate the work you've been able to put in. But yeah, I think definitely like I needed a year like this, I think, to kind of continue to grow as an athlete, like where it didn't go perfectly. I think last year went pretty much close to perfectly, 2024, especially the outdoor season, where it's like, but it's important to kind of then have to ride the waves of another year where there is some ups and there is some downs. And at the foundation of it all was like, I got some really consistent and healthy training, and I don't miss a beat from my body. Like it's really strong, and I get the work in. And I didn't have that perfect day last year in terms of a race, but I think it just builds the foundation for the years to come. And I've sort of learned a little bit about myself about how to kind of quieten my own expectations, but also to just like zone out on the rest of the noise, because when I'm out on the track, it's for me. And I think if you sort of even look to my peers, like I find it hard to imagine that Faith Kipyegon lets external noise in when it comes to expectations. Like she's just trying to run as fast as she can for herself and to improve her own world records and things like that. And I think we saw her do that big attempt with the breaking four, and it's like that moment was a lot for her. But then when she comes back into our fields and is the best and is clearly the dominant woman, it's like a little bit more about her, and it's a little bit she's doing it for her at that point. So I think it's pretty powerful when you know your why when you're out there, and I'm hoping that kind of my experiences from this year have just sort of given me that for the years to come.
Yeah, you mentioned Walteji.
Mm.
Uh, were there whispers on the circuit before you found out about the doping infractions?
Not at all. Like it was following a familiar pattern for her because in 2024 she ran Prefontaine in May, and then she didn't race again until the Olympic Games. So it kind of was following that same pattern where she ran Prefontaine in July and then she didn't race again. And we thought, okay, well, that's just the Ethiopian Federation sometimes say that to their athletes when they're selected is you can't race until Worlds now.
Mm.
So that was all we were putting it down to. And even I didn't race in Brussels, but she was listed until quite late. And when she scratched, I just asked my agent, I was like, oh, do you know if she's healthy? Like, why would you scratch like the day of basically? And he was like, no, she was never here. And I was like, okay, like that's a bit odd, like that the meet would kind of leave her on the list. But I guess there was all of that going on in the background. But I think a lot of us had just put it down to that was the same pattern that they followed in 2024. I thought it was strange that she was repeating that pattern because she got fourth at the Olympics and she was maybe one or two races underdone in 2024. So I was like, surely they're not going off that again. But I guess it all made sense kind of once we found out in Tokyo. But yeah, I still don't really know the ins and outs of all that. We've just had that little bit of information when we were in Tokyo.
Yeah, okay. Do you feel animosity knowing that someone's been cheating you?
Um, it's a really hard situation. Like it's very, very delicate, especially having raced her in the Grand Slams this year and raced her quite a lot on the circuit in the last couple of years. Like she's actually not someone that I had kind of suspected. If you look at her racing strategies and her strengths and her weaknesses, like she runs pretty humanly. So it is kind of tricky then when you sort of hear these things and you're like, well, is it like that obvious? I don't know. I just hope that at the end of the day, she has a fair opportunity to kind of to voice her concerns and her opinions, and a fair judgment is made. But I feel like it's really hard until you have all the details to sort of even have a sort of opinion or to form sort of what you think. We see each other maybe 5 or 6 times a year. So it's like you don't truly know people. But at the same time, you just hope that everyone treats the sport with the same sort of integrity and love that I do for it. And you just hope that they respect their competitors enough to not be kind of doing those kinds of things.
Yeah, yep. That's a gracious take on it. Well done. Speaking of Grand Slam track, have you been paid by those guys? Are you chasing that up still? I think you might have been on last talking about that with us, Grand Slam.
Yeah, I think I talked to you guys maybe just after Jamaica, so a lot changed since then. But I have received 50% of payment from Grand Slam, so
Okay.
they're new. They're sort of advising us right now that the next lot will come in December, so we'll sort of see what that looks like. And I think if they want to have a season in the years to come, they definitely want to honor the athletes that they had this year. So yeah, hopefully they'll be able to make things right, and then they can start planning for what their future looks like.
Yeah. Okay. You mentioned that you've sort of identified weaknesses in your racing or yourself as an athlete. Did you sit down with your dad after the season and you sort of you told me you identify the weaknesses, but then develop a plan to address them?
Yeah, we had a good look at everything really. Like we almost have a blueprint from 2024 to kind of reflect back to, and sort of this year we made some changes in that I did a lot more altitude. I went higher. I went to Flagstaff, which is a lot higher than St. Moritz. So that block was really quite challenging for me, especially the first 4 weeks up there. I found that like it's just quite demoralizing because it's really, really challenging pace to train. So we did some things differently. We sort of extended my 10-day cycle a little bit into some longer stuff as well. So we did make some changes in training, but I don't think any of it was like something that we wouldn't have done if we were to repeat 2025 again. But it was all just data that we've collected. And I think when Dad reminds me that everything we're doing right now is to set up 2028 and to learn that skill set that we need in LA, well, 2025 makes a lot of sense. And I think it's just kind of one of them years where there was a world championships and a world indoor champs, but there was really nothing to lose. I had a career year in 2024, so we could kind of just try some different things and see what that looked like. And most of it will stay. I might be a little bit more cautious around my altitude days and my time spent super high. And I've sort of already started to make plans for those adjustments. I think St. Moritz is fair game. Like St. Moritz is just like a little bit easier to hop in and out of. It's not that high, and your body doesn't feel like it feels the changes in sea level and changes to back to altitude after the races. Whereas I felt Flagstaff was like really hard. So I'm planning to go back in December, but just for a shorter block and to just sort of make it a little bit more of like a one-off altitude stint rather than a base location for a couple of races. And I think that's kind of just the thing we're going to play around with the most this year is going high in the base season, but not going that high in the actual racing season.
Okay, so for 2026, like race plans, given that there's really not a lot going on outside Diamond Leagues,
Mhm.
um, do you do we see you in a cross country team?
Absolutely. Yeah. I would love to run on the relay at World Cross. So I lobbied our athletes across the season. Basically, I sort of told everyone I'm keen. I'm super into that idea. We run so well in Bathurst. It's a
Mm.
really fun event to be a part of, and I think on the Tallahassee course, the Aussies can be a really big factor. Like if you think Stromlo put a 4x2K of your best 1500-meter runners around Stromlo, we would fly, and that's kind of what we're getting at Tallahassee. So I'm all for it, and I really hope to see some others put their hands up too. But I do understand it's a really tricky time of year to prioritize it. So I'm hoping we have a team, and if we do, I hope I'm selected.
Oh, imagine getting a call from Jess Hull saying, "Come and race on my team." I don't think anyone turns that down.
Yeah, it's tricky because it's like it just like that January 10th date is pretty soon off the back of a September World. So I understand if people want to lay the base foundation a little bit stronger rather than go and run a cross country race. But at the same time, like it's a 4x2K, it's a global medal. You go up against the best of East Africa in a distance event too. Like we got a chance to medal at that point. You've kind of got to grab it with two hands.
Well, who's on your hit list? Who's like who are you crossing names off that have said no and said yes?
Oh well, I think if you look on paper, I think your best team right now has to be some combination of myself and Lyndon, Cameron, and Jude. And then you've definitely got some great picks with Ollie and Adam Spencer as well. Kind of, especially sort of being based in the US, they're close by. I think Kai Robinson could run an incredible 2K, but I think he's probably got his eyes on having a big piece of the 10K after such a good run in Bathurst a couple of years ago. And then, yeah, you never know. You could see someone like Rose Davies step down and run a really good 2K. Rose is always fit. So I'm sure she'd be ready to go in January if we needed her. But yeah, we'll see
Right.
how that shakes out.
Yeah, that actually sounds exciting now.
Coros is the GPS watch of choice for elite athletes and dedicated amateur runners across the world. You might have seen their watches on the wrists of athletes like Jakob Ingebrigtsen, Eliud Kipchoge, and now Jess Hull herself, and there's a good reason for that. Coros watches and devices are designed to enrich the athlete's running experience with unrivaled battery life and accurate GPS tracking. Whether you're doing intervals on the track or hitting a threshold run on the road, it locks on fast and keeps you dialed in. And the training doesn't stop there. The Coros app gives you everything you need at your fingertips, from data analysis and recovery metrics to personalised training load, helping you run smarter, not just harder. If you're serious about your running, check out Coros, available at au.coros.com, or hit the link in our show notes and you'll get to see why so many athletes are making the switch.
You've had a new bit of kit you've been playing with lately?
Yes, yeah. I've been getting familiar with a Coros Pace 4 that's coming out in a couple of days. Yeah.
And is this your first GPS watch you've had, or have you had others in the past?
I've had others, yeah. I think I've had GPS watch for a long time now, but yeah, I've tried them all. I've had like the Fitbit one, I've had a Garmin, of course, and I've had some Coros along the way too. And yeah, it's been fun to sort of start to build out my team over this Olympic cycle, and it's really exciting to have Coros be a big part of that now.
Yeah, and one. Well, we'll talk about the watch a little bit further. But the have you got one of the heart rate monitor bands on the arm?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's way more comfortable than the chest straps.
it's like a game changer. That thing, isn't it?
Definitely. Yeah.
It's like no one likes putting a chest strap on. Even if it doesn't inhibit like your breathing. I've just got this thing about it causing stitches. Um,
That's a good one. Yeah.
so to slip something on your arm and have it so accurate like they are, Coros do so well with that.
Yeah, and I feel like there's always an awareness with a chest strap, like the arm strap, you just actually completely forget it's there, which is I was when I put it on and had it on the track, I was pretty surprised by that because when you're on the track and you're trying to be pretty square and stuff, it's so comfortable and you completely forget it's there. So it's pretty game changing.
Yeah, and sometimes if you're not really like if you get like the grey one, you look like you got some barbed wire tattoo around your arm too. You look like a
Yeah,
bit of a badass when you're running past.
yeah, build some external toughness.
The pace four, the Coros. What's like your favourite sort of things about it at the moment?
I was shocked how light it is when I pulled it out of the box. I mean, Chorus have a history of being really lightweight, but this one's kind of next level again. And somehow they've made it lighter with increasing the processing and increasing the ability of the watch. And the screen is brighter, so you kind of don't have to stare at it mid rep. You can just give it a quick glance, and you know exactly what you've seen. But yeah, they don't seem to miss, and it is somehow similar to a lot of brands and stuff too. You sort of get so used to their high standards that you kind of wonder where they can go next. And then when we unboxed the Pace 4, I was like, oh, don't know how they've done it again, but they've continued to advance on what they've had in the past and learn from the athletes and listen to what's been asked of them.
Yeah, the weight thing is really interesting to me because you'll see these guys, girls, look at their shoes and like get super pedantic over
Mm.
50, 40 grams on each foot. And then they'll have like this massive big outdoors watch on their arm, like this
Yeah,
big old like rugged thing with big steel bezel and the glass, like the thick glass on the top, and you're like, that's a weight of a shoe on your arm.
yeah,
If you were really interested in weight, you'd buy a Pace 4 that's like 32 grams or something stupid. But
yeah. Yeah, we all look for like the best and the most streamlined of everything else. Like our watches should be pretty similar to that. And yeah, with the pace, you can have that mindset where it's like you're just gonna go with the most streamlined technology that you've got, and get out there. And maybe that makes the difference. That could be the 1959 5K instead of the 20-minute 5K.
yeah. And the like the battery, they've always been kings of battery, and
Yeah,
that's like used to be at the start. That was the selling point. You wear it for a week and it's fine.
yeah.
It's still pretty good battery, isn't it, on this
Oh
new?
yeah. Yeah, the battery's awesome. I feel like it's just you don't even have to think about it across your training week. It's like I think if you probably charge it on a Sunday after your long run, and you would get to the next Sunday easily. But yeah, just to be a habit and to make sure it's never dead, you could definitely go Sunday to Sunday.
Yeah, we'll let. Do you wear a watch on the track?
I haven't in the past. I always do for training. Typically for racing, I haven't worn it, but I will be wearing the pace for the season coming up. And it will run, and there'll be some data collected from the racing. And someone asked me, I was doing some stuff for the kind of the launch of this, and it was like someone asked me what I thought my heart rate was in the last 5 meters of the world champs final in the 1500, and I was like, I had no clue. I was like, I've never really tracked the data in a race, which is interesting when you think like as a professional athlete, like we track most things, but at the end of the day, we don't really know how much the races take out of us beyond what we feel they do. So it's kind of going to be really cool to really have that back end data on what those race efforts really do and what they're taking out of me and how to recover from them.
Yeah, so we're going to see you win in a diamond league, but instead of the arms in the air and moving the watch, stopping the watch as it comes.
Didn't Joshua Cheptegei do that or something when he broke the 5K world record? He
Oh,
split
did
his
he?
watch. Yeah.
Could
So
be,
in
yeah,
Monaco, I feel like I've got a visual of that. So yeah, maybe I feel like sometimes you see people doing that even when they're not wearing their watch in the race, just out of the habit from their training. So yeah, might have to become part of the celebrations. Got to win
yeah.
some races for that though.
Does this mean we'll see some stuff on Strava from you?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't thought too much about the Strava piece. I am on Strava, but I sort of tend to keep it pretty locked down. But yeah, I think that we're definitely going to share some data through Coros, and then whether that ends up being a Strava thing, I'm not too sure yet. But for now, I think they'll do some pretty good analytical stuff on the training platform and just start to release it, which is kind of cool. I think it's important when there's so much he said, she said, and by the time someone 5 people down the track hears about a workout you did, it's been embellished by like a million times. So I think it's kind of cool to know that the data is going to come straight from the source. And it's like, okay, that's what the person did, not this person said and this person said. And each time it's gotten a second or two faster or slower. And yeah, there'll be no miscommunications.
Normally, that's me that's telling lies about my own session.
Yeah.
Every Sunday long run, it gets a little bit faster.
You got to give yourself confidence somehow.
So what's been like your daily life looking like since Tokyo? Do you take a big break?
Yeah, I took a nice reset. We stayed in Tokyo for a few days and just did some of the touristy things in the city. It's a pretty crazy city, Tokyo. Like you were over there, weren't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I watched you. I was biting my fingernails as you went down that home straight.
Oh yeah. I don't think I've ever given so many people a fright, but
Yeah.
we got
I
there.
was scared. I was legitimately like, oh no, you can't. Like, they would destroy this trip for me to see you miss out on a medal.
I'm glad I could hold on, but yeah, it's we got to sort of finish all that up, and I probably didn't anticipate running until the Sunday evening in Tokyo. So we'd always intended to stay in Japan for a few days, but it kind of meant that we only really had Monday, Tuesday to explore, and then we came home. So the city itself is just like everywhere you look, there's something different to take in. So that was pretty exciting to just sort of be out and about and not be worried about how much time you're spending on your feet or what restaurant you're going to eat at. It's like, well, we've got no more races. So you kind of just take it all in and embrace the culture. And then once we come home, we've just had about a month worth of things where we were just like traveling a fair bit for different commitments and different people that we had to sort of catch up with in the off season. And then I've been home in Newcastle for nearly 2 weeks now and just sort of back into the base training. So this is my middle of my third week, so 2.5 weeks in, and it's coming back nicely this year. Like I think there's a big difference in ending the season on your own terms with the world champs being at the very end versus having the Olympics and then about 6 weeks of racing to go. I have noticed a huge difference in returning to training like that. My body feels a lot better, a lot fresher. The excitement came back a lot quicker just from having sort of finished on a high and then taking the break because the racing was over versus
Mm.
having such a high in Paris and then being like, well, do I keep going for another month or do I shut it down? Keeping going for another month, I wouldn't change that at all in 2024, but I think it did make it a lot harder to recover from the season, just from that extra time that you've got to train and build yourself back up of such a big achievement. So it's been interesting to just sort of assess that dynamic, and I'm excited for where we're going. I feel like it's been a couple of years since I felt like this in November, so I hope that that's going to set up 2026 really well.
Yeah, and what is like pro athlete life for Jess Hull? You get up, you train. What does the
Mhm.
middle of the day look like? What are your hobbies outside running? You got projects on?
I feel like well, we're building a house, so there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on for getting those things in place and starting to sort of make some selections on that because when we go overseas, it's a little harder to do those kinds of things. So it's been good this time of year because it's the training isn't as intense, so I feel like I'm not cooked when I come home from training. I've actually can stay awake all day. So yeah, I just kind of fill the middle of the day with little random things that need to be done for that, or like just other things like this. A few more sponsor commitments at this time of year because I've got the time for it. So I feel like my week goes so quick. And it's just kind of like when you look back at what you did across the week, it's like, wow, I did a lot of training, but I got a lot in for the rest of the day as well. So it's kind of nice to not be so tired after training that the rest of the day's a write off. I can kind of do some other little things. So yeah, the house stuff is the stuff that takes the most time right now.
And is your dad a builder?
He's a tile and bathroom renovator, yeah. So he'll be
Okay.
doing our tiling.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. You're building in Newcastle?
So down in Wollongong, actually, yeah. So our land is in Wollongong, and then yeah, just got to kind of make the decision where we sort of base through LA cycle. I think we'll be up here a little bit more, especially for the key training blocks in Newcastle, because that's where mum and dad are, and then post LA, reassess and see what that looks like. Yeah, his
Okay.
intention is to live back in Wollongong long term, but yeah, right now it's all just kind of it wouldn't be in the next 12 months. The build's going to take a while. So, yeah.
And what do you reckon your dad would say if we asked him to come on the podcast?
uh, I would go into bat for you guys. Like, I would definitely encourage him to do it. But nah, he's so much more colloquial. Like, if you catch him in person, he'll talk your ear off for hours. But to nail him down and put something in a podcast form or record it, did take a bit of convincing, I think.
Well, we should start now then, because I reckon that would be one of the best chat. I reckon the whole athletic world would be intrigued to know how he took you from finishing 11th at the Olympics to a silver medal and
Yeah.
be a dominant force.
Yeah, you wouldn't need to spend too much time with him to kind of get the feel for his philosophies and the way he thinks. And it's just like his brain is crazy. Like I sort of say to him all the time, I'm like, you've got so much knowledge. You've got to coach more than just me. And he's like, I don't have the time because he still works pretty much full time. So he's like, we can train whenever that is in the day. But like he's like, I can't really commit to a 4 p.m. training session for a training group. So yeah, I mean, one day I hope he does, but I'm sure at some point he'll crack and you guys can get him on. But even Avish Sharma, sort of the physiologist at the VIS that we work with, he's like, I'll start a podcast if it means that I can get some Simon Holt content out there. But nah, it's I'm sure at some point he'll crack. Yeah.
Stay as a mystery man, though. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Behind the curtain type operator.
Yeah. No, he likes to sort of just be behind the scenes, and he's like, he doesn't even really like getting that much credit. He's like, oh, she does all the training, and I'm like, yeah, but like, I do it because you tell me to. Like, it's not because it's all, he's behind the scenes. He's the mastermind. Yeah.
Well, I still remember, I've never seen like a race have a puppet master before than that 1500 at Zatopek, when I think Brady and I were standing behind him, but we didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
And it was 200 meter to go, 200 mark. And every time you'd come around, you'd stare into the crowd. Brady thought you were staring at him. And then all of a sudden, like, your dad made some signal or something, and then you absolutely brained the girl in first. I think it might have been a Japanese lady. And you looked over, he gave the signal, and he basically decided what would happen in that race.
Yeah, I had been told before that race was like, it was a 5K, so I was still so fresh to the fives, and I had been told not to go before 600 to go. And I remember I just felt so good that I was like kind of looking like if I give him the right eyes, he might wave me sooner. But it was just like I was so inexperienced that I had to wait for the signal. And then nowadays I can't even hear him in these stadiums. Like it's like I couldn't wait for a signal if I tried. So.
Yeah.
Even for the world champs, he just stayed in the warm-up area because it was kind of a lot for the coaches to get across to the main track. So I was like, well, I'm out here on my own now. I can't really, there's no direction that's going to help me. But I do wonder what it would have looked like, him watching that last 50.
Yeah, that would have been
It would have been pretty hard watch. So yeah, I wonder kind of how he was going. I know for the 800, he said when I fell, it was like he had it on his phone. And the big screen was maybe 20 seconds behind. And so he's seen me fall and he was like, oh. And then he watched the replay kind of immediately when the big screen caught up. And he's like, oh, she'll be fine. She's tripped from behind. She'll get put through. But he was a lot more confident than I was. But yeah, I would have loved to sort of been in that warm-up area watching him watch the last 50 of the 1500.
Oh, yeah. That would make a good doco, actually.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, Jess. Well, thanks for your time today. It's been really fun catching up. I feel like we should do this check-in regularly.
Yeah, no worries. Anytime.
Yeah, and all the best with your recruiting for cross country.
Thank you. Yeah. If you guys, if you can start helping me out a bit, just put some ideas in people's minds. Be like, how good would it be if we could go for a world cross medal?
You got a little bit more influence than we do in that space.
Yeah. No, it's I mean, any chance you get to pull on the green and gold, I'm hoping that's what gets people around. Is like it's another chance to wear the Aussie kit. So let's go for it.
Yeah. Okay. And we'll let Coros talk about the release of their watch, because I'm not sure how much we can say about that just yet. Could be some embargoes on that stuff. So keep an eye out, the Coros Pace 4. Good update on an already good watch.
Yeah.
All right. See you, Jess.
No worries. See ya.
Coros is the athlete's choice for training, data and wellness metrics, helping you reach your performance goals. From the road to the track, their GPS wearables and devices combine advanced technology with sports science to help you perform at your best.
Now I hear you say